So with that, I am so honored and so grateful to bring to the front my dear friend and inspiration, KRISTEN Stavros. I know she's going to be telling a lot about her story, so I'm not going to go into big introductions. And everybody, please welcome KRISTEN.
Thank you guys for coming. I know I told someone it's a school night. No, there's no school. It's like work, school, it's all the same thing. Kids got to go to camp, be bathed, all that good stuff. Luckily, I have a great husband. And I'm just really, really thrilled and honored to be here. My story tonight is about stories. So I think that you're not getting a story per se, but I'm going to talk to you about stories, and particularly 3 really powerful stories that I've observed and that I have found some success in. So stories, well actually I have to warn you, sometimes a swear word slips out of my mouth. So if you have delicate ears, I don't mean to offend you, especially when I'm talking about something passionate. And the other thing that I just, disclosure is I don't have any great knowledge. I mean, this is just from my experience. This is from, I have a passion for learning about how to be more successful and authentic in your life. And so this is just my take on from what I have experienced. But I'm no expert, that's for sure. So I am going to talk about 3 stories tonight. Stories are incredibly powerful. They have literally shaped our human history. I mean, you look back and you can see how all stories have affected our human history. And I believe that they are the absolute most powerful force in shaping our future, too. And you can see that at play in our world all the time when you are looking. But there are 3 stories that I think affect our personal journey very greatly. And if those stories are managed in the right way, they can affect them very positively. And if they are left to their own devices, they can cause a lot of damage in our lives as well. So I'm going to touch on the 3 most powerful stories that we deal with and hopefully give you some concrete things to take home, because I've been lucky enough to have some real success in these areas, and I'm hoping to inspire or share something that might be of value to you. But I know that some of you in this room could teach me a few things or 2. So the first story is the subconscious story. That is that little voice in the back of your head. And to be honest, I don't know how young it is when that voice starts talking, but it's there. And I remember the day that I realized that it was in the background talking, and it was kind of like this, like, what the hell? Who's in the room? Like, what is that? Is that going on the whole time? Like, is that really there? And that is part of me, and it's just been whispering away, and it's like something in my brain. And that is just that little niggly story that goes in the back there. And as Brene Brown says, who love Brene Brown, she's only come into my life in the recent, everyone's like, you only just discovered Brene Brown? How is this not even a thing? But she calls that little voice, or she names it shame. And she talks about how that little voice has 2 favorite tracks that it plays. And that first track is never good enough. Never good enough. And if you're lucky enough, she says, to kind of tamper that one down, then it's followed up with track number 2, which is, who the hell do you think you are? And that is that voice in our life. And when we have extreme emotional reactions to life, it is often that voice's business. It is often that voice that's rearing its ugly head. And if you look to the cause of why you are incredibly angry or incredibly defensive or running in the other direction, it is often from, the source of that is often from that voice. I've been actually really successful with that first voice, and not good enough has been tampered down pretty well. But man, that second voice, she is just a pill. And I recently, when Morgan invited me, I knew she was doing this. I was so excited. It was like, this is going to be great. How you're so brave. You are so amazing. This is just awesome. What a gift. I mean, Morgan is like, I want to be Morgan when I grow up. Oh. Like, is she not just like the most spirited human being ever?
And the hair.
I know, the hair. Tell me about it. I know we all lost after this hair. Yeah. So she said, Kristen, I want you to be my first speaker. And man, that voice was like, who the hell are you? You can't talk about anything. You're not, because I was excited to find out who Morgan was going to pick. Who she got? Like, she has all these amazing women. I can't wait to hear from them. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be so inspired. This is going to be awesome. But me? No. Hell no. Like, I am not doing that. And then I, being aware of what the voices do, and you ever get that like feeling like, what the hell, why are you reacting so crazy? Like, what is going on in you? Why are you so mad about that? Or why are you running so fast in the opposite direction? What is wrong with you? Like, calm down. So when I calmed down and the voice, quieted down the voice and said, of course, I would be honored, I would love to, I will be there. But that voice, it's a nasty one. One of the things that I've learned and in practice, and you can get way better at as you go along, is self-soothing. So as soon as I, hit that like, I can't do this, da, 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 one of the tools that I kick into overdrive is what I label self-soothing. And it's generally you're just talking yourself off the ledge. You're reminding yourself that, no, you do have something of value to share. And it's Morgan. And Morgan wouldn't have invited you if she didn't know that you should be here. And remember you told the universe that you wanted to do some public speaking someday in the future? Well,
it's the future.
But you have to really talk yourself, you really have to talk yourself down. And you get better at that, because you get better at being like, no voice, like, you are just fine, this is gonna be great, this is gonna be fun, you need to be energized by this will be wonderful, be around some amazing people, like, this is all good, and that's that self-soothing, and you've gotta practice that, because the other voice has had a lot of years of really good practice on you, and you gotta actively practice the opposite. And the other thing to know with this particular voice, this subconscious, this story that goes on in your head, is that it is a liar. It's a freaking liar, this story. And once you recognize a liar, I don't know if you've had the experience or the misfortune to have someone in your life that is just a consummate liar. Like, you just know when someone is a big old fat liar, and it changes the power of what comes out of their mouth. And so immediately when you're able to label it that, and it just changes the dynamic, and you're able to make that powerless. And so when you hear that story piping up and that voice starting, it's like, I know, you're full of lies. It's not going on. So that's how I deal with story number one. Story number two. Story number two is the story of who we want to be. It's who we think we are. It's our identity story. And from an early age, we start to try to kind of like form our identity. And I equate it to trying on a pair of clothes and wearing it around in the world and seeing how it goes and seeing how it fits. And sometimes we'll put on an outfit, especially in our high school years, you like try on a lot of outfits, and that's the time you should be experimenting. And you find that you don't like, strappy tops because the straps keep falling off your shoulder, a little tight in the areas, and it just doesn't fit right. And you go, okay, that outfit's not for me, I'm gonna find something more comfortable. And the goal is to try on different things and find something a little bit more comfortable to wear in the world. Like I said, healthy to do when you're young, healthy to do when, especially high school. And whoever thought that being a goth would be the right outfit to wear, but that happens. Practice that. I hope I'm not offending anybody that tried out goth outfits. I see you are not in that outfit today. But the problem arises when someone puts on an outfit and they find it a little uncomfortable, but they persist with it because, and this is associated with story number 3, but they keep persisting in wearing this outfit, even though it is like really uncomfortable, it's too tight, it's just, they have to kind of, walk a little bit. And I find that for women, often this outfit is the outfit of perfection. And they kind of get stuck in this outfit because they want to be the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect daughter-in-law. Whatever it is, they stay in that outfit, and even though it is very obvious that it is not fitting them, they're going to persist. And if you persist in any sort of outfit or identity, or you keep telling and reinforcing this story, I am, and it's not a good fit, you could potentially be looking at a full-blown identity crisis later on in life, and that's how that looks. So I personally tried out in my 20s the outdoor adventurer. I was the outdoor instructor, and this outfit came complete with Gore-Tex and fleece and boots and a kayak and harness, and man, I was badass and so cool, right? And I was living in New Zealand, and this outfit was actually kind of fun. It was exciting. It was cool to tell people about. It looked, we didn't have Facebook, but it would have looked really cool on Facebook. But after a few years, it got really tiring to wear this outfit, and it wasn't fitting me very well. But I was really stubborn in this outfit, and I just could not come to grips with that this was not the outfit for me. And the turning point, the realization began when I received a very prophetic comment from a guy who worked at the Outdoor Pursuit Center that I was at. He was the office manager, marketing guy that worked inside the office and did that boring indoor drudgery, work that none of us cool outdoor instructors, like, they were so uncool in there. But there's this one guy that I really liked, and I loved going in and chatting with him, and I remember the day very clearly because I had mud on my boots, I had mud in my hair, I'm pretty sure my fleece was starting to stink really bad, and we were chatting about something, and he just looked at me and he said, Kristen, I can see you working in an office one day. I have never been so offended in my entire life. I was literally viscerally what? What are you talking about? Do you not see the outfits? Do you not see this persona that I am clinging to desperately? That is not me. How dare you say that? How could you possibly say that? And then after I got over that, I said, why did you say that? Is there some truth to that? Actually, maybe there is some truth to that. Now, you know what? I mean, maybe not an office, never an office. But maybe this is not the right fit for me. And I am happy to report that many years later, and many jobs later, and a stint above my parents' garage that we won't talk about, and kids and a husband and all of that, I am shoes off, bra off, sorry, that was for you, sweatpants on, comfortable in that story and my identity now, which feels so good after so long. But it took battling the third story. We'll get there. But so my takeaway for this is pay attention to those little niggles. If you just keep adjusting your strap and you're like, this is just part of my outfit, it just sucks, it just keeps, it's the thing. Don't put up with that. Pay attention to that. Why is it uncomfortable? Where is it uncomfortable? What could you do? There are other outfits out there. Trust me. And finding a really good fit is amazing. Okay, so that brings us to story number 3. Story number 3 is the story of what others say about us. Okay? And this story deserves the least amount of attention. It has no business being in our lives and in our brains. And yet, it is there. And they love to do this with people. This type of person goes in here, and if that person is in that box, and they're I don't know, what's a very offensive person I could choose to, but you know what they like, you know what they're likely to say, you know how they're gonna act.
Oprah. Don't put Oprah in a box.
Oprah is not in a box. She is beyond box. Of course. But we do this with people, right? We meet them, we label them, this is how they are, this is what they're gonna do, and when they surprise us, we're like, oh, you weren't supposed to do that, that's not how you were. But we all know that we are incredibly multifaceted human beings, and it is completely possible for the same human being to love living in the dirt for a week and never taking a shower and being in the outdoors and eating crappy food, and also equally love getting completely gussied up and going to the finest restaurant in New York City and completely, you know, Hollywooding it in New York City, but you know what I mean. Like, that can be the same person. You can have a really tough lumberjack kind of guy who can kill something with his bare hands, who is also more emotional than most of your female friends. Like, it is possible to have that in the same being. You can be a liberal environmentalist and also be fiscally conservative. It's possible. There's no party for that, but it is a possibility, because we are humans. Like, we are really layered. There's no equation that is wrong when you put it into a human. It can be all of that and more, and you can change too. That's the cool part. The problem is that when we start to believe and subscribe to the box theory about ourselves, that becomes a problem, because then what we do is we attribute what will people think to all of our decisions in our life. What will people think? That's out of my box. Like, if I want to go and do this, or if I'm feeling like trying this out, or if I say this, that's not what will people think. You know, that's not in my box. And that is very scary. I still struggle with this, but one thing that's really helped, and I want to burst everyone's bubble right now, there are people out there that do not like you. There have always been people out there that do not like you, and there will continue to always be people out there that do not like you. And that's like, even just saying that is kind of, I love you all, like, I swear there's nobody not for you, like, nobody loves you. But it's true, it's the nature of the beast. It is not a bad thing or a good thing, it just is a thing. It is the truth. And once you really accept that and you're okay with it, and you're like, okay, this is the normal, the earth is round, it's fine, it's just how it is, it frees you. It really frees you when you're just like, I can't do anything, there's nothing that I can do in this world to make everybody like me. There will be people always that do not like me, and that is okay. And then once you free that and take that off the table of affecting your decisions, there's all this room on the table for things like, what feeds my soul? And what brings me happiness? And what do I really care about? And then those things start to drive our decisions. And holy heck, when that happens, like, doors open and paths that you didn't even know they were right in front of you open up, and amazing things begin to happen. Talk about taking yourself out of a box and not worrying about what people are going to say or think. I was at the core of environmental work in Puget Sound. I was wearing the outfit of environmental education, outreach, like, I was in the middle of it. And to tell people that I was going to become a real estate agent was a little shocking. And people said, what? What did you say? You're going to do what? You're going to become a real estate agent? Talk about what will people think. I got some very strange looks and worries, but it was great, because I got to a point where I was like, I don't care. I don't care what other people think. I decided to listen to my soul and clear the table of what other people were thinking, and real estate wasn't like it didn't go one day, oh yeah, I'm gonna become a real estate agent. What I did was I cleared the table. I started listening to myself and what was important to me. And what was important to me was friends and family and building a community and being close to my parents and being in a position where I can inspire others to improve their lives and be a problem solver, and all these things that I really loved and fed my soul, and it just happened to fit into real estate. And God forbid, shame of all shames, make more money. That is another talk, which we must have.
Which we will have.
Must have someday. So once I was able to do that, I would never in a million years, if you took my, especially my 22-year-old self and introduced her to me, that would be about the funniest response. There's no way. It wouldn't even. So with this third story, the what other people think about you, it is scary powerful, and it is so ridiculously unnecessary. And if you can really rid yourself of this beast, I just promise you, just come talk to me once you are rid of this beast completely, and you will see. There are still days where I care and I struggle with this third story, and I'll tell you what I do on those days. This may seem a little weird. On those days, and I literally, this goes on in my head, I take my hands and I cup my figurative face and I look myself very deep in the eyes and I say, Kristen, you are enough. You do enough. You have enough. You are enough. And that right there is awesome. So, that's good.